first name is Eric.
Eric. Okay. Yeah. No. Look. So basically, look. Sorry to hear about your previous experience with my colleague. But look, you know, we all work with people, and I mightn't agree with what he says either. You know, so like, just so you know, like, if I do go along on Sunday, it's not me there to paint a bad picture on anyone. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I get that, but we've also heard that, Kyle, and you have to take it from our position. We've heard that from every media source that's ever tried to do anything. They don't cover us, and the issue is that you cover us, you cover people like me, and you don't know us, and you go with the racist narrative or whatever narrative, and people end up losing their jobs and everything else. And you have the far left crowd that are there, the likes of Joan Quirk, known in the town. You have Una Dunphy, you have Mary Roach, you have elected councillors, you have former elected councillors, and they're running around and they're portraying this narrative as well. They're actively ringing people's jobs. So, I mean, yeah, you have to look at it from our perspective.
No, like, you know what? I get that. Like, you're just concerned about the country in general, you know, and I get that. You know, so it's I completely understand. So is this Eric English?
It is, of course, yeah.
Yeah, okay, no worries. I think I met you before, Eric. But look, from myself, the reason I want to go to this is, you know, I'm not going there to see a bunch of councillors or whatever, or the far left, you know, because they've approached me asking me to go, and I said, well, thank you for your invite, but I'm not going because of them. Like, when I go up there, if I go up, it's not going to be me just, you know, standing over there with them. So, like, what happened the last time with Damien?
Well, like, this is the thing, you see. So they've approached you to go there, and that already tells me what the whole aspect of it is. That they're going to counter protest, to cause trouble, to do what they've done at the previous rallies that we've tried to have. So the first one we had, they brought a group of Palestinian protesters from the People's Park up there, which is all on camera, that were being led by John Hearn, who was an elected councillor. And one of those lads put his hoodie on, he put a snood on, and he assaulted one of our lads there. He gave him a smack of an umbrella or whatever it was into the wrist and smashed his phone. Garda were there, they done nothing. Damien was there, done nothing. He seen it, witnessed it, and never reported on it. And not only that, any other rally or march we've had, again, they breached public order incidents down in the middle of the town and tried to portray again that it was us that done it, even though we moved away from in John Roberts Square and we went to the Apple Market. They followed us. It's all on camera. We've offered it up to media. They've never taken it off us, including WLR. Not just with Damien Tiernan, but getting in touch with WLR, getting in touch with anybody, and they don't want to portray it. The narrative is consistent with the government's agenda, and it's going to remain that way. And like people are calling us racist, and they think that we're just talking about immigration. We're absolutely not. Immigration is the biggest issue that we're seeing at the minute, because the resources that are available for our people are not available because they're being given and they're being outsourced to foreigners that are coming in here. That's fact.
Yeah, no, and listen, I'm not saying I agree or disagree with you, but I do understand what you're saying. Look, I can't speak for other colleagues, you know what I mean, but one thing I can say to you is, when I decided to become a journalist, because, you know, the journalists don't decide to go into this field of work for nothing. It's a hard enough job, but I always, when I'm doing my interviews, I'm impartial, and, you know, what I'm saying to you is, if you were to speak to me, I can give you my word, and if you wanted to record it, you can. I wouldn't be making a headline saying, you know, far right protest takes place in Ballybricken kind of thing. You know, I do want to hear your concerns.
Yeah, well, look, what I'd say to that is I wouldn't be in a position just here individually to speak on everyone's concerns anyway.
Yeah.
So what I'd say is, on Sunday, if you do end up going there, speak to the people that are there yourself. If they want to speak to you, they will. I'm not in the business of talking to the media or anything. The reason why is because there's a complete lack of trust, and I don't trust any of them. And that's not anything personal on you. That's just the nature of the beast. You know, we've already been down that avenue. So, that, like, I can assure you, nobody will. There won't be any trouble there from our side, and that's a fact.
Yeah.
So.
Well, look, I understand. Your kind of narrative on the media that it's kind of mainstream and whatever, and that's your opinion, and I understand that. But me personally, I want to hear all sides. You know, I'm not just going to go up there with a microphone and speak to, you know, Ain 2 and
No, you're
you know,
right.
Mary Roach and all that, you know. So
But that's what we want. That's what we wanted. We wanted people to listen to our concerns and listen to what we have been trying to say. Except for the media, most of the media, 99% of them have turned their backs and walked away from us and spin their own narrative. We're seeing documentaries come out on RTE portraying people that are not even part of the movement, and that's a fact. You know, they're putting narratives and they're putting labels on people that they don't know, they've never spoken to. But what they do is they go and they speak to the other side there, and it's even terrible saying the other side because they're Irish men and women as well. But they're the ones that are actually acting like the fascists. We do not go and counter protest any Palestinian march. We don't go and counter protest an Africa Day or anything because we're not racists like what's being portrayed. We're here for our country. That's it.
Yeah. No, and I get, no, look, I get you, Eric. I do, 100%, you know. And look, you're just concerned, like, and everyone has the right to be concerned in their own country, so I completely know what you mean. But look, I was hoping to go along on Sunday anyway. It's not a definite because I'm actually not working on Sunday. But I do hope to make it up. But just if I am there, and if I go up to you, like you might get one or two people who would talk to me then.
Yeah, well, look, that's what I'm saying. I couldn't answer for anyone. I'm not in a position. I wouldn't put myself in a position to give an interview to anyone about this movement, because this is not a movement that has a leader. This is a grassroots movement. This is individuals that are concerned, that are seeing things happening. So I can't speak for the person next to me. They can speak for it. One person may speak more extreme than the next. That's human beings. You know what I mean?
And I get what you mean. It's a trust issue here, and I get that because people's jobs are on the line, and you know, I can tell you now, I'm not going to, if I do interview someone from your side, if you want to call it that, it's not going to be me putting up an article saying, you know, this person is anti this, anti that. It would be portrayed as what it is. This person in whatever says X, Y, or Z, you know. And I do know what you mean about a lot of the other media organisations that do spin things. But just me personally as a journalist, I'm not here to do that at all.
Well, no, look, I appreciate that, and as I said, like, you'll be more than welcome to speak to people there on Sunday. That's your right as a journalist anyway. We're not on the habit of stopping people with their right to free speech either. So if you want to go and speak to people, like, you won't have a block on our end, and that's a fact, you know.
I didn't interview you before, Eric. Did I interview you before, Eric, or was that maybe someone else? It was in 2022. It was at a protest in town.
I'm not sure. It could have been. I'm not sure. I know I spoke to somebody at the Apple Market. I don't know if it was yourself or it was someone else. I don't recall speaking to yourself. To be honest, I do recall asking WLR if they wanted to have a chat, but they didn't want to. But it wasn't you personally, so.
And just to note as well, like, you know, even though I work with other journalists, you know, and I know the public would have a view of, you know, each organisation being the same, but each journalist would be unique in themselves into how they do things and stories they write. So, like, what I'm basically saying is, you know, what happened with Damien, but something like that certainly wouldn't be happening with me. You know, I wouldn't be laughing at anyone like that, you know.
Yeah, well, look, I appreciate that, and as I said, like, I know it may not be you personally, like, you know, WLR, the media have created that issue of mistrust, you know what I mean, so that has to be accepted, and that's just not just here with individually here with me, that's across the board with everybody.
No, I get that.
You know.
Well, look, I hope to maybe change something along the lines of that if I do appear on Sunday. You know, I'm just asking for a chance to have a chat and just, you know, give me the chance to do a story on it, but portray each side equally. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, well, look, as I said, I certainly wouldn't stand your way. That's your right, and that's your job. Like, if you feel you want to go there, what I can assure you is there'll be no trouble or anything. There'll be people there that will speak to you. There'll be people that may not want to speak to you. You know what I mean? What I'd ask is if you are going there and if you're speaking to people, it needs to be portrayed honestly, and the name calling has to be dialed down. That can't happen because people are not getting that avenue. Like, you want the chance to be able to portray both sides. Well, the other side that's going down there to counter protest, you'll be lucky if you have even a minute to be able to speak to anybody, because they're the ones that stop free speech. They're the ones that are stopping the discussion that we've ended up having to go to the streets and have protests to try make people aware that we're here. And look, some of it gets ugly, some of it may not be ugly, but that's the climate that's after being put there by the government, by the media, and by these NGOs and by these people out on the streets that are going into other communities saying that people are welcoming them and changes are to happen, and they don't live anywhere near it. And that needs to stop. And what I would say, Kyle, is the likes of what happened down there before, we have all the evidence in the videos of that. So when things are being put out, it needs to be put out exactly what's happening. You know what I mean?
You were saying there, you were mentioning a few incidents, right, before I went to the news. So, like, we have the guards coming into us every week, but a lot of things won't be mentioned. But if there is something you'd like me to look into regarding that, I can certainly get onto the guards press office.
Well, like, I've got on, we've done that. I'll compile some of the data that we have, the dates and times and the allegations that are there, and we'll pass them on to you. And like, we have pictures of Garden, we have some videos as well of the days in question, except for it's never been released on the news or anything, So you were saying there was one case of a rape or something. Yeah, so we were made aware of a male-on-male rape in the Portree guest house probably about a year and a half ago, and there was a massive Garda response to it.
I remember it.
Yeah, so what we're told happened is that inside that complex, one man was being raped, and he ended up picking up a knife, and a fight broke out inside. When Garda arrived, one of the band Garda went in with a male Garda, and she was allegedly stabbed, and that's when the armed response and everything else turned up.
That was just before Christmas. That time with your timeline.
Yeah, it would be in around that. Yeah.
Yeah, I actually went down that night. I went down there and I did hear about it, and because I saw a post on Facebook. But like, when we do articles and stuff like that, we have to be careful as well, like naming a certain place, like the Portree. Like, if we name that, we could be sued. So we do cover certain stories like that, but we do them very kind of, we have to be very generic, if you get me.
But see, that's where the issue arises, because if that wasn't the direct provision centre or an IPAS centre, and that was somewhere else, you would have no problem, you wouldn't be sued.
Yeah, I didn't. That was actually an IPAS centre, was it?
Yeah, there still is.
Yeah, I know. See, I didn't even know that. But anyway, Eric, thanks very much for contacting me back. And I hope to make it on Sunday. Is it around 2:00?
Yeah, well, that's we had originally organised for 3 p.m, but okay. The other side, as I say, I hate saying that, but the other side have decided that they want to go there for 2:00, so they want to curtail the actual gathering completely to stop people even conversing. So,
Yeah. Well, look, all I'm asking for is if I show up, because I think I might be going somewhere Saturday night, so I'm not too sure. I'm just looking for a chance. So, just give me a chance to tell the story.
Yeah, but look,
your story.
Yeah, as I said, Kyle, I can assure you that you walk into the group that whichever number of people gather there on our side, and you're not going to have any problems, because we're not there for violence or anything else. So
Do you want my personal number, Eric?
Yeah.